Okay, so finally, they have announced all of the roster moves for Stage 3 of the NAL 2021. So let's just go down the line and go over who's in, who's out, things like that. I have these in order by how they placed last stage. So we will start up here with SSG. They were the ones that just announced today. Today is Monday. It's the day before NAL comes back. So they waited till pretty much the very end. They dropped Thinking Nate, and that was announced a few days ago, but finally they announced, to the surprise of nobody that's been following it really. They picked up Skies, if you were like aware of the leaks at all. Like everyone knew this was going to happen, just like pretty much every change, but here it is. So SSG, I mean, they looked phenomenal last stage within their region. They destroyed pretty much everybody except for DZ, but now they have Skies over Thinking Nate, and Thinking Nate didn't even do bad last stage. He was the worst on the team, but he still had a fine rating and seemed like he was doing a job and everything. It's debatable if it's an upgrade or not. Up to you to decide, but now we have the reuniting of Bosco and Skies, who I believe were both on that Xbox World Champion team. They won the first and only Xbox Invitational. It was these two and like England, I don't know, some three other guys. Anyways, Bosco and Skies together once again, and Hot and Cold and Skies also reunited from DZ not too long ago. So this looks like just an absolute killer team. You have Skies and Bosco on the support, maybe a little bit of flex in there, and then you have a really powerful entry duo. Any two of these three, and I guess Bolts and Houghton are more of the duo, and then Rampy is just sort of on flex. So killer roster. Hopefully this will be enough to not only keep them at the top of the region, but bring them more international success at the next major, assuming they make it to it, and then at SI when that rolls around as well. We'll see what happens there. TSM and SQ, no changes. TSM allegedly had some change that might have happened. Like there were talks that Merc was supposed to be replaced, and then for one reason or another he didn't get replaced, and I don't know if there's like turmoil within the team or just because Merc's so, I mean, he's very good, but he's inconsistent at times. But they ended up going with no changes. So TSM and Sonics remain the same. Dark Zero picked up Canadian, and this, I mean, this is massive. They picking up one of the most storied IGLs of all time, two-time SI winner, and I guess the only person to win on two different and I guess, well, right, so G2 and Penta won, but it was pretty much the same roster. Canadian did it on Space Station and Evil Genius, or well, no, they weren't even Evil Geniuses yet, right? They were what, Continuum or something? I don't even remember. It was Continuum, or I believe that, I think it was Continuum. Anyways, basically Evil Geniuses, but anyways, and yeah, so he was on SSG just, you know, some months ago, and then he retired, and then he decided he wanted to come back. So he's back. He's replacing BC, who is a former teammate of his from Evil Geniuses, and BC is just going back to some sort of staff role, like head coach or co-coach or I don't know, something. Mint is still coach, and I'm not sure what BC's role is, if that is in particular now. Something GM, I don't know what it is, but not on the roster anymore anyways. But his hand is still in the pie in some regard, I would imagine. Except for the fact that legend has it, BC and Canadian have had beef in the past, and I mean, they must have squashed it more or less if Canadian joining the roster. Or, well, maybe not beef per se, but like differences of opinion, and they didn't get along so well. But also looks like a very killer roster. I mean, these were the two better performing NA teams at the major. And Dark Zero actually has a bye. Well, they have their bye week, their bye play day for the first day, and then the second day, that match is pushed back to the very last day because Hyper and what was it, BC, whoever else it was that got sick, they're allowing him to recover, and I guess it doesn't matter for BC because he won't be playing, but Hyper, letting him just get a little bit better. So the second play day will only have 3 games, and the last one will have 5 games, with Dark Zero playing twice. Disrupt became Astralis. Disrupt was acquired by Astralis. This is really big. Astralis is just a really well-known, really big, really successful org. In CSGO, I think in particular, and maybe other games. They didn't make any roster moves though. Maybe next stage, we'll see. There was murmurs of retro being dropped for someone or other. I think, actually, I believe it was, I heard, you know, whether it's true or not, but I heard rumors that DG, they were disrupt at the time, they weren't Astrologia. They were supposed to pick up Canadian, and so I'm assuming drop Retro, who I believe is the IGL. Canadian will replace him on support IGL, whatever. Yeah, so DG was supposed to pick them up, and then DZ, Dark Zero, gave him a better offer, so he decided to go to Dark Zero. And I guess, I mean, it was close, but Dark Zero was more successful recently. They went to the major, and I guess DG was top 4 in the first stage, and Dark Zero wasn't, but still, historically, Dark Zero's a better performing team than Disrupt, which is like a fairly new team, but, you know, still, regardless. Oxygen, no changes. There were, you know, talks of maybe there'd be changes here. Vertical getting replaced, he seems a bit dated, but maybe he'll have a bit of a resurgence. He's still a good player. We'll see what happens. And then Yaga, who's had pretty poor performances, except for I think it was SI where he did very well. So anyways, no changes there. I think still a lot of potential and untapped potential, especially on this roster. They did get first in stage 1, so maybe they can return to that glory in stage 3. Mirage dropped Quartz, who didn't perform very well. I mean, it's unfortunate that he didn't get to play in stage 1, so he only got 1 stage of play until he's now dropped. If I'm being honest, and maybe this is just the lack of structure that Mirage had at the time, but like anytime we were on Quartz's point of view, spectator-wise, he just looked a little bit lost. Not like terribly so, but kind of. Anyways, they're picking up Thomas, who's just a really good player. It was unfortunate to see him get dropped from XSET, but maybe he'll have more success on Mirage because they certainly weren't having any success on XSET. Now the question is going to be how the IGLing plays out, because Nyx, from what I understand, is a very domineering IGL. He likes to take control of his team, do everything his way. So I don't know if Thomas is just replacing Quartz as a player. Recently, Thomas has been playing the sledge roll on attack, which is what the soft breacher roll, sledge buck, which is what Quartz was doing. So maybe he'll just replace him there. Maybe they'll do a co-IGL setup, which from what I understand has been fairly successful and is just sort of like the better way to play Siege anymore. Or, I mean, maybe Thomas takes over and, I mean, maybe Nyx gets pushed out. Who's to say? I think it's looking up for Mirage. They did pretty well in stage 1 and they did kind of bad in stage 2. So we'll see what, they've been sort of middle of the pack on average. We'll see what happens with them. I'm excited to see Thomas on the team though. XSET, 2 changes here, just like Beast Coast. Every other team only had the 1 change, if they had any, and XSET and Beast Coast have 2. So Creators is still here, Filthy's still here. Jarvis is not technically the one getting dropped, it was Drip, but Jarvis was the one playing on the roster for the last like 4 or 5 games or whatever it was of stage 2. So he's going back to the coach role instead of playing. So it's Drip and Thomas being dropped for NVK and Prod, or the other way around. I don't really think it especially matters who's replacing who in this case. NVK, old EG player. He was known as one of the best gunners in the game at a time, and then he had a very long period of struggle, and then he was sort of starting to get good again, and then the Canadian left the roster, and they just sort of disappeared because of that whole that Evil Genius's org couldn't come to an agreement with Ubisoft, but also they were like the worst team in the league before that, which was unfortunate. So yeah, he was trying to get on teams, I believe, a while ago, and he just wasn't up to snuff, and he did not get picked up. And I think XSET was, I heard maybe Thomas was talking, I don't recall. Somebody was talking about it. Maybe it wasn't Thomas, I don't know. Some current or former XSET member or staff member or something was talking about it. They were looking at picking up NVK, and he didn't cut it, and I think they ended up picking up like Creators or something set. But now NVK's been back on the grind, and he's been picked up by XSET, and Prod's also been picked up. Him and Young Alec were just on Orgless last stage of Challenger League with Gotcha, Barring, and Oasis, I think. And Prod and Young Alec both put up really impressive scores. I think they were both like top 5 or something rating-wise, or top 10, with I think it was Young Alec was like number 2 in CL overall. So anyways, hopefully this can turn things around. Jarvis and Drip, Drip and Thomas rather, were both good players, but it just seemed like the team was missing something, or they just didn't fit together as a unit in the way that they should. So this is sort of just a new look roster, picking up 2 players, and the only player from the Challenger League roster, Filthy. You know, with Creators being added when Sweater was dropped, and then Razor when Butters was dropped. So anyways, Xset new team. I don't have terribly high hopes for them, well, I have high hopes for them, but I don't have terribly high expectations for them. We'll see what happens. And then Beast Coast, Biologic for Jay and Rudy for Young Alec, or vice versa, however you want to say it. Young Alec was on that Orgulous team, and Jay was on, I think, Wichita Wolves. I think, I don't actually know this for sure. I don't know who's going to IGL now because it was Biologic. And I thought Fozo was the IGL at one point, and I'm not positive. So maybe it's Jay. I don't know who the IGL is here. Just like, actually, I don't know who the IGL on this team is either. Is it Prod? I don't know. I was sort of assuming Gotcha was the IGL on Orgless, but I don't know that for certain either, because it was Thomas, I believe, before, and maybe, I don't know, could be I don't know. Maybe it's Creator? I couldn't say. I couldn't say for certain. Anthony was pretty good last stage, Biologic, and, well, anyway, just Jay from Wichita Wolves. They were who were they before? They were Ape. Yeah, they were Ape before they were Wichita Wolves, and I think they're still, right, I think Kansas City Pioneers, this is the org that left, and I think Wichita Wolves is still in, picking up, I guess, 2 new players, because I think Jay and Melted were both on their roster and both left. So yeah, now Young Alec, Jay, Anthony, Fozo, Sippin. Similarly to Xset, I don't have terribly high expectations for them, but I mean, I hope they get better. I hope that both Xset and Beast Coast can improve and become more competitive players in the league, because as of now, it's sort of just been the other 7 teams, and then these 2 are just like decidedly the worst. Maybe things can change, we'll see. It might be hard because a bigger gap might be forming with Canadian returning, with this Skies pickup, and then the other teams are going to be especially hungry. Or then the Thomas pickup, you know, TSM, SQ, Oxygen have longevity in their rosters. You know, they've now had longer time to so maybe it's possible like these 3 teams will boss up in the beginning when there's when the other teams are still struggling to adapt, or maybe they'll have a honeymoon period, or maybe these other teams are just gonna go beast. I don't know. Who should it really say? Oh yeah, well I guess I'll say who I do think is gonna do well or not. Just looking at it now, and it's sort of tentative. I think probably Beast Coast ends up in last again. I probably Xset in 8th again. I like the new Xset look a little bit better than Beast Coast, but again, they've just been they've both been 9th and 8th once each in the last 2 stages, so I don't know. Mirage seems like on paper the weakest, but they sort of did. I mean, I guess they sort of did weakest on paper besides these 2. But I mean, I guess I'll put Mirage in 7. I don't know, like maybe just, is this a cop out? Just like taking the same kind of order. Yeah, I'll put Mirage in 7th, I suppose. And then moving up, I don't know if SQ can keep up what they've been doing, but I mean, maybe their results, and maybe they can, and maybe I should believe that they'll keep doing it because they just did it twice. They got 2nd and 3rd place in the last 2 stages. These guys definitely got to be fired up being on the new org. And I imagine if they do poorly, the org is really not going to be happy, and they're going to maybe want to make some changes. I think I'll put... Oh, man, this is hard. God. Who'd... I think I'm going to put SSG in 1st again. Oh, man, this is tricky. DZ... They have a little bit more time to get ready with Canadian because, like I was saying, they don't have to play for the 1st and 2nd play days, which are actually back-to-back, so they only don't have to play for the 1st week. TSM still got to be really good. These guys have been on the come-up. Maybe Okay, I mean, I'm just going to put Auction in 6th again, also maybe cop-out. And then I'm going to say Sonics in 5th. Disrupt in 4th. DZ in 3rd, TSM in 2nd, SSG in 1st. So it's like, this is basically the same. This is the same, except for like Sonics go down 2 places and the other 2 move up. I don't know. Like I really I'll have to see how things develop in the first few days, I guess, and then at that point I have a little bit of an advantage in guessing because some teams will have points, but I really need to see how the teams are looking. So, I mean, yeah, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I guess I got a scroller. 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. And I think that's it. I think maybe there's one more announcement supposed to be made. I think Beast Coast a while ago said maybe they had picked up a coach and they haven't announced that, but maybe it didn't actually happen, or maybe I misheard that or something. But the rosters are definitely decided. I'm very excited to change it. Like Sky's coming back, Canadian coming back, the org change here, 2 roster moves on both of these guys, Thomas getting picked up. Like they're all really exciting changes. Things I'm really looking forward to watching. And I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else really to cover. That's gonna do it.